Jaco Mostert, the name, South Africa. And I'm standing with one leg in Africa and one leg in Europe because I am part of Walter's team in doing the WP43, but I also have a fork project at the same time of the same code, doing the things that they don't necessarily want to do, which I like to do. So it doesn't make it good or bad, it just makes it different. I think that's a very important thing because I'm very excited about the WP43. There's nothing wrong with it. It is just that in my personal history and my personal growth as a HP user, the things I want to do sit on the other side of the keyboard. And it is just one of those things. We had long and hard arguments 4 years ago on public arguments, and I followed his advice. He said, make your own. So I did that. Here we are, and very excited, taking nothing away from Walter's presentation. I am in full support of that, and I want to tell you what is then different on the other side of the world with the leg standing in Africa. Okay, right. So first of all, the information, any information that you can get, you'll get there. It's my website that I've registered for this. This is Classic 43. Classic, not being confused with the actual HP Classic thing. It's just in general English. That's the more classic thing. I don't want to do so many changes to the existing that we have. And of course, any information that you can find, I don't have the full path, but it's the alternative, the WP43 alternative C43 key layout. So that's the sub-forum that you can find information. Somebody already asked me where to get the files for that. It's always in one of the last pages. I've made an announcement with the installation files. And before I even go on, I'll answer publicly another question. Another person asked me is, where do I buy this? No, this is not for sale, as is. You can buy it from Swiss Micros. It's called a DM42. You just buy it, and on the website there's already a PDF with a layout that you can print, and you stick it over there and you can use it. Or maybe we have some templates that I've just made that we may decide to make available. I'm not even sure about that. Let's just wait for later in the presentation to get maybe I think about that again. Okay, so right, fine. The first thing is, carrying on from what I just said, is that WP43 thankfully is GPL based. So that means I can take it and I can make my own. And that means mine is also GPL based. That means if you don't like mine, you can take it and make your own. So if you don't like the keyboard layout, just go into the GitLab, make a copy, change the keyboard layout, and make your own template. So and change the functionality, which is exactly what I've done. And I'm mentioning it that like in a funny way like that because that's how we got here. And what's even more, there's a nice little document that's on that back desk there, over there, a couple of pages written by Robert. He's the guilty person there. So there are other people also like-minded in wanting, let's not say what, but wanting what I'm offering here as an example. Swiss Micros aren't going to make a loss. And so they just sell another DM43 instead of a WP43. So choice is basically what I'm on about there. So why do I like the WP43? The types. You have data types. You have complex variables. You have one single entity complex variable. You have one single entity in one register. Walter has mentioned it. Can be a whole 10x2 matrix, or whatever you like, a string. That's the entity. You don't have to play around like on the 15C or on some. I don't even want to call names here because I really like the 15C as well, but I don't like it because it hasn't got complex types. So anyway, accuracy, of course, Walter mentioned it, 39 digits under the hood. You'll never run out of accuracy. So that's. But then why do I want it differently if I like the WP43 so much? Because I do. There's a couple of drivers for that, and we start with the operators. So that's a big argument. It's been a big argument. He has alluded to that in a funny way, and I myself as well. But I mean, choice is choice. People like things. So I like it on that side. I am very, very uncomfortable using it in another way. I can and I have. I do a lot of testing on that machine, and I can cope with it. But that's not what I have in my office. That's for development. So that's it. And the other thing is I really like the way that I've grown in my university career and all that with a 32 and then the 40. I like the trig separately. I don't want it in a menu, but that's what I want. So just give me the old stuff. That's what I want. Direct math, direct trig, and I'll play with that. So that's the one driver. The other driver is patience. I'm not a patient man. 4 years ago, I just checked on the invoice last night. 3 years and 11 months ago, I bought my DM42. I wasn't very happy with it because it's still HP42, and even though I like the HP42, still haven't got the things that they shown in the previous Allschwil presentation. So it wasn't very long until that DM42 was permanently a WP43S in progress at the time. And then again, what follows? Lots of public arguments of how the WP43 should be, until I just get told, but go make your own. So I'm saying that in a very funny way again, because there's no hard feelings about that. That was just how it rolled out. So availability, it was there now, and I needed it. And frankly, as soon as that thing, as all the math was available for use, I used it in my office. Away went the 42S into the box, 32S2 into the box. That was and the WP34S and C, which I had also in my drawer, into the box. So this was on my desk, and I eventually had to buy a second one, because if I want to do development, then the one that I use is in the office. So, and the third one is why I wanted things changed is the HP42 legacy. Now, a lot of things I already mentioned I don't like, but a lot of things I do like, and I've gone ahead and I've really tried to with my co-conspirators and let's call it colleagues who helped me make the layout to try be true to where your fingers and your mind expect the things to be. So, for example, the HP42 white and gold labels, we have an 89% one-to-one label match on the HP42. That's what I wanted, even though I might not like the inside, I like the outside. So that's a one-to-one. That's position, and you can see there that if it's not on the right position and the right color, then it's flagged. So there's 8 of them that's not matching. So, and then, but if you add the blue ones, because some of them I've just shifted around, some of the HP42 yellow labels have gone to blue. If you take that into consideration, I got a 96% match of available functions with the same number of key presses on the HP42. Doesn't mean the functions are exactly the same, because they are different. It just means that your fingers know where to look for them. There I've indicated which ones. Walter has mentioned that twice. It's not necessary. So it should actually, I should actually decrease that to 73, because that's not necessary. The custom, yeah, well, and that sigma minus is the other one that wasn't matched. Okay, so once we had the labels right and the positions right, and that's a big thing when to arrange these things logically. I mean, there's been countless iterations of moving things back and forth and back again, and eventually found it, and it's working. Now, after that was done, we had to ask ourselves, what do we write on the labels, and how do we want to write it? The font design, and I have previously circulated. I had my calculators open, so what I'll do is I'll just send this one around. This one has got the final proposed layout diagram. Just look at it carefully. Look at it carefully. I've just made a little 3-button cutout there, because the next slide will actually show you. We considered a lot. We looked at a lot more than what's on the next slide. We really looked at a lot of HPs, because our intention was to get some of the classic feel back. And we looked at it's cut off there and there. No, sorry. Anyway, looked at the 32S to 42S, 35S. We looked at that's the picture there is of the new WP43. Of course, at the time we looked at the existing WP43S layout. That's not depicted over here, but it is there. This is the DM42. That's the HP48 and the 15C. So those are the only ones that I could find in one evening quickly putting together the slide. But we probably looked at 20 different ones, and we really looked at them. How did the X, what qualities were on the X, on the Y? How was the square root drawn? How was the sigma drawn? Every small detail. There's a lot of detail in that. So we looked at that, and we actually stole a lot from everywhere. But if you look at the bulk of where the things came from, it's the previous Chuck. Where's he? I can't see his face now. Where's Chuck? Is he still here? On the 11C and the 15C, those series, the largest font influence that we can draw back is from there. Those were really the time where HP, in my opinion, long afterwards, it's all available. It's all opinion, but in my opinion, that's the last one that HP really looked into their font design. They've gone backwards after that. The 48 isn't bad, but anyway, and of course the label layout and label content comes from the 42S. So I would say 80% comes from influence from the 15C, and some stuff all over as well. Now that you have a font design, a label layout, now you actually need a template. Now you need to stick something on. So we went ahead and we really tried our best to get a metal template. Now that mild steel metal template that you see there was a real thing. It actually was laser cut. It was done. And the beautiful layout that you'll find in this little brochure that's on the back table. There's a large printout which you can really look at the attention to detail that we gave to the X's and the Y's and the root signs and everything. You'll just have a look at it. So anyway, that was supposed to be on there. We've had unfortunate delays. Previously, we have had another delay which stopped production. We would have had some samples here which we could give away. Unfortunately not. In a rush, I I just made some photo prints and had somebody cut it out with a blade cutter. Have a look. There's another one. I'll send this one around as well. It's the same thing that's on that unit that's circular. Let me give it from the other side, if you don't mind, because that one's going that way. Okay, so yeah, the target is that I've made just 3 little samples. I'll come back if we have time. I'll circle back to the different templates and whatever else we have where we're doing there. That's on the calculators, and of course, Robert, why don't you just send yours around as well, and Danny, your calculator, can you just send it that way around so that people can have a look at it? Okay. So the samples that are on these calculators are just paper copies, but they look damn good. So we may reconsider our long-term plans in terms of what to do with these since we've had those delays on the metal. But there's the metal plate is not off the table completely. It's still.
I was just going to say, surely a metal one, you run the risk of the slightest bending in transit means that it's impossible to straighten up again to glue onto the calculator.
Yep.
Better not to bother and just go with nylon or something.
That is true. That is something that can bite you in the foot. You can shoot yourself in the foot with that. Yes, you're right. But we haven't got it yet, and it's look. This is TBA. We'll have to decide what we're going to do going forward with the plates.
You can replace the back pen even with metal. You can. I had an issue with the WP43 and it was ongoing. That's what you're talking about, the metal.
No, I'm just thinking you buy one mail order. And then it comes, you have to then use a very solid package to make sure it doesn't get bent in the post. Yeah. And then when you open it yourself, you have to be extremely careful that you don't put a slight bend into it when you're fixing it onto the calculator. So I think you're relying on the people doing it being very dexterous, more dexterous than
I use tape used for phone glasses that they use to glue things. So when you're pushing with the roller, you make it flat, and then you remove the old one, and then put the tape from.
Well, unless that comes in a kit with the label.
No,
most people don't have that with them at home, do they? So.
No, but you can buy the tape. Is there a different width? And then when you do it correctly, you have no issue. But you take some. You have to be good with your hand.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, that's the story with the label template. Let's settle that with the TBA. Watch the Swiss Forum, Swiss Micros Forum, and we'll see. We'll announce what we're going to do.
I was going to say TBA, to be aluminium.
No, that's too soft. The mouth steel's fine. But anyway, right, fine. So let's move on here. First, now I want to come back to the fact that I want to stress that the C43 is nothing on its own. It remains a special WP43S. Oh, sorry, drop the S. WP43. It's 100% dependent on the math and the stats, the code base, everything. Here I tried to make a nice little sketch figure. There's a lot involved. I'm glad Walter also illustrated the WP34S, which, by the way, I can still see is lying down there. It's for free for anybody to take, and that is the core of the math engine that's written. That's a lot of extra math work has been done. I know that. I've been part of that. But you can't remove that, and you can't remove the growth and the intellectual I want to say property, but it's GPL. Nevertheless, you know what I mean, the IP behind it. So there is the extra math that was done. Then there's the 43 UI, that's the 43 types, the programming, and a host of other things that are belonging in that circle, which are not relevant right now. But this is what I want to say. And none of that is unique to the C43. All of that is taken over because I'm taking over the whole code base, and I'm slapping on my UI and my bits and pieces that I like differently. There are one or two deeper things that we had to do because it's just a tough thing with the keyboard being so different. Nevertheless, that's the important message that I wanted to get across. So there's no illusions on where it's coming from. So in order to make a 2-shift button user interface work on a single shift button DM42, that was the challenge, and that's what I call the enabler. Because without that little breakthrough, the project wouldn't have taken off because you can't. So that is visual feedback, because you have only one. You don't have visual. You don't have positive tactile feedback on you pressing the F or pressing the G. So your mind doesn't know where you are. So therefore, I added lines showing you where you are because of the fact that you have a single shift button. And the second thing is nicely indicated there with a dot and a double dot. That's pretty obvious for everybody to see. You press it once for the yellow one, you press it twice for the blue one. Angel has mentioned that he has dreamt up such system before. I wasn't aware of it. According to me, this is another Norwegian invention, because it actually comes from our colleague in Norway. And that works very well. So while you are typing that, while you're typing the F, the line moves up one. You type it again, the line moves up again. Of course, not in Technicolor as I've indicated there, but that's for you to understand. What I've done here is I've actually just made a little video, very short, just showing my finger doing that, just for more understanding. It might be a bit abstract otherwise. If I can just find where the play button is, yeah. Let's have a look. There's no sound, don't worry. There's no sound there. I'm pressing it, going up again, and it's the third press cancels the shift again. Okay, I'll show that again. It is actually going. It's actually looping. You can see that. All right. Fine. And what is also there is, if I press again, just watch carefully. I can't. I have to concentrate here. I can't even point now. Okay, there it goes. So there's the first F. There's the second F. It's a G, and the third one goes. And there's also a triple F. Sorry, that's a double F. So it goes directly to the G. You don't have to go through the F. The triple F goes to a special menu, which I'll get to. So that's something. It might sound daunting, but it's actually very very comfortable. That's why I made the video, so that you can. Well, there are 3 calculators circulating. They all have the system in. You can try it and see if it works. Maybe it's just us liking it. Anyway, now how to get out of this? Okay, so that's the summary of what I just said. You have mandatory shifts because of the fact that you haven't got a G. That is a mandatory way to have to get to G, is to double press the F. Okay, that's the equivalent of once you're in G, you press the button and it selects the blue one, which is normal. I mean, we all know that from years ago, and that's the other one. So additionally, we have the 18 soft keys, which were mentioned before. So the 18 soft keys are up there, and they also react to the same F and G line that is indicated over there. I've tried to indicate that here. We have some shortcuts. If you don't want to press these these double ones, because sometimes your fingers are in different places. So we've actually implemented quick ways to bypass the shifting, which actually works astonishingly well, in my opinion. But you can try it out. If on the top 2 rows there, if you keep the button in, you keep it in long, you will actually in the top left corner see the function changing to the next one, and you keep it in longer, it changes to the next one. You just release it where you want. So and the same with the function keys over there. I have an example here, another one, which where you actually press the function keys over there. Not sure where it's going to start there. Let's have a look there. I'm pressing it, okay, once, and it gives the base function. I'm keeping it in slightly. Pops up the factorial over there. And do it again. So have a look what I'm doing there. So you press it once, and it underlines the function it's doing, and you keep it on longer, it underlines the one directly above it, and executes it as soon as you leave it. So that's, sorry, how do I get out of this? There, okay. So now there's another one. It's not a lot of these videos. I think it's the last one. Don't worry. This one we will have the other shortcut that was on the schematic diagram. If you're even more impatient, and I mentioned before that I'm an impatient man, so I don't want to wait. So if you don't want to wait, then you can actually get to the top function over there by just double pressing that. So if the one way is to double press the yellow one and then press there, then you go to the G function there, or you long press it and you wait for it to run up, or you just give a quick double press there and you execute the I in that particular case. So let's just run this one. Okay, there you go. That was a normal shift. I let it run up to the top one. That's the next one, and I just double tap it. And every time I get that custom function that I over there. Okay, right, fine. So now I've just hold on. I've indicated the mandatory shifts, because that's the enabler. Without that thing, without being able to break out of a single F into a G, the project's dead. So I've said that. I've mentioned the impatient person's guide to the buttons over there that I've mentioned. So those are the additional ones. And then as time went along, remember this is the 4th year we're going into this. We have been figuring out other things to change as well. Those aren't mandatory. Those aren't enablers. Those are just things that I wanted differently. And we have a discussion, a group of about 5 people, and then we go forward and we do it. So some of that would be additional direct access. I'll get into these things just now, and some cyclic buttons. I'll get to that just now. Some extensions. Some additional intuitive extensions that we've added. For example, I just mentioned them over here. I can't remember if I got a slide on that. So, for example, on your backspace key there, if you just keep it on a little longer, it performs and release it. It performs a drop. You keep it in even longer, you release it. It performs a clear stack. So it extends the logic of clearing the X into clearing more than the X, clearing dropping the X, and if you keep it on longer, then it performs to clear the whole stack. And if you don't like that, you found that you pressed it unnecessarily, just keep it in, it times out to a NOP. So that's one of the additional extensions there. The home menu extension, it comes a separate page on that, and the base menu extension also gets a separate page on that. So just giving you an overview. Large screen. There are more screens coming. I found that I wanted, I think it's maybe because of my failing eyesight, maybe things need to be bigger for me to be really seeing it. Got some support from Norway to have things bigger. So I have set out to to make the characters bigger. We'll get there, and then some experimental stuff that I'll mention. So that's the way forward. If we have enough time left, how's the time going? How's the time going?
Yes, you have.
Fine. Okay. Right. Fine. So, interactive direct math access. That's one of the things that I'm very keen to have. I'm not patient enough to go to too many menus to get things. So I want as many math functions available to the touch, 1 or 2 buttons away. So what I've done in this the depiction over here, I've taken away all menus, all non-directly acting commands or labels or whatever we call them. And just to show you, there's quite a bit of things. If you switch the calculator on, those are the things that you can directly use. So I actually haven't even counted that against other calculators because it's not a match to get more or less. It's a match to get as most of the platform that I can get out of it without losing the minimum amount of menus that I still have to support. Otherwise, you can't get to all the fancy stuff. So yeah, it looks like if you just draw a line through there, it looks like about half of the keyboard, eh? So about half of the keyboard is accessible directly, and I think that's an achievement. So in order to get more things on the keyboard, I expanded the use of cyclic buttons. Now, cyclic buttons, I smiled when I was sitting there when Chuck was talking about the proposed HP17 or whatever 17 that was on there, and I saw there's a FSE button, and I saw there's a DRG button on there. So that's one button that is taking away one button you save three spaces, which means you've saved 2. So, and we have thought about that as well. You can see the DRG appearing there. So it's trying to make it accessible so that you don't have to dive into a menu to get to everything. So the cyclic buttons, let's get back to that. The cyclic buttons, first of all, I want to stand still at what the WP43 offers. It offers 2 cyclic buttons. CC means, I think it's complex construct or construct complex, but it can also mean cut complex because it can also do the opposite. So when you have a complex object, you press it, you get the X and the Y in the X and the Y register. So that, and you press it again and it does the opposite. So that is, in my view, a cyclic button. Strictly speaking, 1 over X is 1, 2, but let's not try go too deep with that. I think that's a math function on its own. And then the other one that WP43 offers is the fraction button. You press it, changes into one kind of fraction mode. You press it again, goes into another kind of fraction mode, and that repeats. So I have taken that philosophy and expanded that into the DRG as well, where you can change the angular measure of the X register only. It's not changing the calculator's mode of operation or the ADM as we call them. It's simply changing the register. That's the one we did. There's another cyclic one there. You press that, it's a round to integer, rounds it, and once it's into integer, you press it again, it changes to a short integer, which is then a 64-bit number with all the bells and whistles that the WP43 offers for 6. And you press it again, and it changes it back to a long integer if you would want that for something. So that's a cyclic round button over there. We've got the MS. We've dropped the D and the H, because that is a generic sexagesimal entry button. You only need one. You press it again if it's the wrong type. So when I say that immediately, that is you can see the focus of this change is direct operation with a machine in front of you and you doing some task, and you can easily just press it again. It's not convenient for programming because you don't necessarily know what mode it was in. You're not 100%. You can work with it, but I don't recommend it. But it is possible to program with that. But all the WP43 commands that are there for singular use are in the menus, and in the catalog. So you can still you can use everything that is necessary in the program. That also keeps up the program compatibility because none of it's lost, but you have a more dense, let's call it direct usage area. Let's move over to the next one. Complex. Complex is a little bit the same as CC, even though CC has one feature that irritates HP42S users, and that is that if you use CC to close a complex entry, then as you would use complex, then it starts a new complex number, and that is extremely irritating. So the only solution was to actually duplicate that, leave it as an option. It's still there, like all other options, because you need to program with it, and just return the HP42S's complex function, which is exactly the same, but it doesn't have the interactive entry, which is, I'm not sure if that's meant to be like that, but it's exactly the same as the HP35S's I command. It works exactly the same as that. So that just the complex just cuts that. So I think I've got all of them, and then of course our gold shift key is a cyclic button per definition. So we got a couple of extra cyclics, and that saves us a faceplate, and it brings out the functions that sometimes are hidden away. In addition, I've actually populated the top blank function 1 to function 6 keys there. They are in my template. I have no choice because my keys are the same as DM42. They're not labeled. They're not F1 to F6 like in WP43. So it doesn't matter. Those are the function keys, but the difference is I pre-populate them. So there you can see them right on top. It's just a bit cut off by the projector, but you can see them populated over there. Those are the default. Doesn't mean you have to stick with it. You can change it. But those are the ones that I believe are, for my purposes in the office, I don't have to press shift. Any of those yellow ones, I don't have to press shift. They are there. They're always there. They're not labeled, but they're labeled on the function keys up top there. Plus, I have my DRG and my CC over there. So that's the logic behind increasing the interactivity of the keyboard without losing the programmability. Right. I mentioned earlier on very very quickly the other is a custom menu that I've added, which is called the home menu. It's accessed by either G Shift 7 or triple press on the yellow button. If you don't like the triple presses, I think you get used to it so quickly. But if you don't like it, you can just shift and go to home over there. The point is what the whole concept of the home is. Sorry, something is. Oh yeah, there we are. Sorry, there was a video to play there. I hope you saw that. Let me just do it again. It's just showing how to get the triple press and the home pops up. So there you go. Press triple press and the home came up. Okay, and then there's the first function on the top of the home, which was accessed just for demonstration, is the eye over there. Okay, so let's move on and see what is this home thing. The home thing is meant to be even another effort to bring together more different menus onto a place where you would where you could normally find things together without diving into menus. So I've split them open over there, and the next slide actually brings it out quite nicely. When I put on top of that, where does those things come from in conventional menus? So our conversions into degrees, radians, and grads, they come from the conv menu, which sits over here somewhere. There's yellow over there, so they are up there. This is a part that's from the CPX menu. The polar and rectangular settings are coming from both the mode menu and the CPX menu. These portions, these come from the CPX and the part menus. They are duplicated over there. And of course, the green ones tell you those things are actually on the keyboard as well. They are duplicated here for completeness and for people at the moment using it without a template, because you can actually run this thing without a template on a DM42 clean. It's been so because the menus are there to actually help you with that. So that's why some of the keys are duplicated over there. That may not last. That may be a transitionary phase. I may change them if we have something to roll out. But nevertheless, that's where it comes from. This factorial has been put in the probability menu over there. So it's often used over there. The parallel comes from the XFN, there's a CPX. And so that's a collection of disparate menu items which are often used together but are not logically belonging in any topical menu. It is a new menu. That's why I call it the home menu. So you pop that up, you get it up quickly, you get it out the way, you get another menu, you ignore it if you don't want it. You never call it up if you don't want it. It doesn't come up by default. I purposely made the default my menu, which is your calculator startup. If you start it up, it comes up with this line at the bottom. I purposely made that the same as the home menu, so that when you do call the home menu, it feels like you are actually adding to your my menu without actually influencing your my menu is 18 slots, which WP43 gives you that you can populate yourself. You can take any of those 6 and you can change them. You can delete them if you want to, or you can put 12 more on top of that. But regardless of that, when you call up the home menu, it will give you that menu. Okay. Right. And then the home is a large. Essentially, the home menu concept was brought up because there's no other space for me to put in the WP43 structure to put custom menus. There is one good custom menu that we give you in the WP43, but only one. That may change. That's not been discussed to change, but that may change in future. Who knows? But in the meantime, I'm impatient, as I said, and I want menus in different places. So the home menu actually expands to 3 more menus. So you press up and down on the home menu. I'm not going to go through all of them. This will take all day, and this is not a course. It's just a little bit of an overview. So yeah, you can go up to more convenience menus over there. Convenience meaning separate items from different other menus put together where it's practical, where you would want them together, which may save you a dive or two into the menu system. So those are a few, and I want to move over to one thing that I find particularly useful, because I do change a lot of the keys, and I use the assign function to do that. Often, you want a different key or a different place, just use the standard assign, you change it. But how do you know where what is? So you can lose track very easily of what is where. So I've devised a system over there, 7 more screens that you can run through. That home menu is very long. It is the four structured ones plus the 7. Those 7 ones correspond to each keyboard row. The top keyboard row is over there, and it shows you what keys are on that. It's called a key replica. So it shows you what is your defined keys. It grays out if it is the standard ones, and it makes it in clear colors if it has been changed. You can see on this particular case that I've highlighted it in red there, that the Sigma Plus has been changed to a convenient place where to change user mode on that particular one. I've added Snap, which is something standard on the WP. I've added the trig menu, which is also from the WP43. On this particular case, you can see it's bright. It's bright there. So you just go down, and you can easily remind yourself of what is set up on your user menu. Otherwise, you're just blind. You'll never know. You don't even know where to go switch it off if you don't know that the key is selected. So it's not working yet. But one of the things in process at the moment is that you can actually press that button. It was working at one stage, but due to some changes, it stopped working. So it will work again. So, for example, you go into this menu, you find the key you like, and you just press. Okay, log is on the face, but you can press it there, and it'll do the same thing. So that is actually meant to indicate, not to execute, but it does work both ways. Right, fine. I also mentioned the base menu. Remember, that's one thing that was quite missed by me. The HP42S had a base menu where you could conveniently set the basic functionalities you can set there. And then, of course, the 16C. There was a 16C around here. Yeah, I saw a 16C here today. The 16C had a lot of very nice functions that's on your fingertips. And those functions aren't as conveniently located as it is on the 16C. So we've gone out of our way to expand the HP42 base menu, which was a single line, just hex decimal. I can't remember what else. Just a few things, and expanded it to quite substantial, useful kit over there. It indicates to you in which mode you are. This is actually the same as it functions the same as the on the HP42. It actually also functions the same as on the 16C. You have the three buttons. Actually we have an extra one over here, but it doesn't matter. So, and over here you have what is also missing from the 16C is the shift, the easily accessible shift left, shift right. You press it twice if you want it 2 times. You press it 3 times if you want it 3 times. Yes, it also has the standard rotate left, rotate right, which you can feed in the number of places you want changed. But I missed that directness of shifting it. So those are there, plus a couple of shortcuts that you want unsigned 16-bit or swap the bits, swap the bytes, or swap the words. Just a couple of useful things over there. So, and of course, did I miss that? It indicates to you that if it sees that you are in a base that is exceeding 10 digits, that it changes the top 6 characters permanently to A to F to actually type it in straight away. And of course, all the menus are available, and you can call up the bits or the ints menu, which also have those things on the function keys. Just a bit of extra stuff. Some people may think it's too much, maybe over the top. Maybe it is, but I like it. That is.
Does it support the carry and the overflow?
Yes, that's from WP43. That's nothing new. I just changed the UI there. No, that's standard, and you can have it in the carry overflow. You can have it in 2's complement or not, but that's standard. Yes. Next one, show. Show is a very useful function to me. Comes from the 42S, and I decided, well, I've got a large screen. I want to see more. I want to see a lot more. So if I show if I show a hex number, this particular one, the top one is the one that's actually in the X register at the time. It actually not only shows you the full, all the available digits of that hex number over there, it also shows you the in the second line the binary, the octal, the decimal, and if that easily will exceed the number of lines, it goes to small font. If that still doesn't fit, it pushes down the lines so that you can get more information. Long integers. It tries to make it easy for you to see, increases the font. Just as always, large font, because I can't see the things. And then it's same for complex, you can see it nice and large. Same for angle measures. If you, that particular one on the screen over there, the top one is always what is in the actual X register. To avoid confusion, I always say what it is. It is X, X, and X, because it can easily be mistaken for X, X, Y, Z, T, whatever. So it's quite clear. It actually, that is the one in the X register. Just for good measure, it shows. Sorry, cancel. This one is just a short one. But if that would have been radians, it would have been 2 lines full of large digits. It shows you all 34 digits. On the below the line over there is the summary. It only shows you 1 line's worth of digits. That typically is about 16. Just counted. That is actually just printed until it actually fits. So that's quite nice. Yes, I didn't mention that before. But as you, if you go into the base mode, it actually splits the screen, and it actually always tells you whatever is in the X register. It tells you well, this seems silly because it's hex and hex, but if this had been decimal, that still would have been hex and binary. So it shows you without asking for conversions or asking to show or changing it from one base to another. It has it on the screen for you all the time. When I work with little embedded circuits, that's what I need. So I added that. Text, always large font. Can't see. So text editor, 3-line text editor. Of course, because if it's large font, you need to increase the number of lines, because the WP43 accepts up to 2 lines of small font, which means I had to increase the lines to 3. But I also increased it's a movable cursor. So very important. We brought in the concept from the 42S, where you have radio buttons and checkboxes. I feel that's very, very important. In every option that is shown, always shows you what is the current option. So it shows you that it's either ticked or not ticked. It shows you in this particular case there's a radio button status there. Can be either a SIG3 or unit. It's a round button, is a radio button. It can be either rectangular or polar. The square one is the check boxes, where you can have multiple. It's like a multiple choice box that you can do, and where you have, for example, where you have a value. It actually shows you the value in the option. It's a bit small. I was complaining about the small text, but there are other ways to get those things as well. So if you can see it, it is there. Then one of the first things that I modified on this project, one of the very first ones was the RPN operation. I added a ERPN, entry RPN, which is essentially the behavior that you'll get if you press exit. It's not a permanent change. It is a permanent change, but it's not forced upon you. It's an option that you can just simply with a necessary checkbox, just switch it on or off. So if it's on, it acts like the 30B and the RPL machines. If it's off, it acts like normal older HPs. There's a little text that I wrote there. When I really researched that, I found some good documents on the renditions and the change of RPM over the years at HP as well. It didn't stay the same, but nevertheless, it's there. And Another very nice feature that I've also implemented from a long time ago, from actually the 34 S&C days, is a guy called Bit, and I never know who he is. He did a whole collection of extras for the 34, which was called the significant figures mode, and he didn't devise it. I actually found some earlier material on the internet on I think it was an American conference where this was presented many years ago. Anyway, that I've got an example of that is in the documentation. You'll see a lot more of that, but there's an example. For example, if you are selected in either fixed scientific engineering, or we've added the SIG over there, we've added unit over there, which is the next slide. We'll get there just now. So the SIG, significant figures, doesn't care about any further accuracy than what you specify. And the reason for that is if you are getting values from a measuring instrument that only gives you 3 digits, that means that doesn't matter what you do with it, you can't get more accuracy out of it than the 3 digits. And if you set the thing to fix and you restrict it to a certain number of digits, you multiply that by 1,000, like I've multiplied pi there by 1,000,000, it's still fix would actually give you all those figures where those aren't valid. So I often use this when I work with field information that's measured in any kind of way, whether it's distance or actually electrical quantities. The example says it all. I mean, it always, if you set it on 3, it means that there's 3 digits after the decimal in the normal situation, which means that it's actually n+1 digits that are maintained. So if there are more visible, you null them out. And if it is decimals, you change the fixed value until you get to a point where you have the number of significant digits which the user specified. I find that very useful. I use it a lot. Next, very almost strange thing that I've done over there. I've added a prefix mode, call it unit prefix, where when you are setting it to unit 3 in this particular case, it does the normal engineering notation, and instead of the exponent, it just gives you the standard prefix notation, milli, kilo, mega. There, find it very useful in the lab if you're doing it, embedded job, to quickly do some capacitance calculations and things like that. So it's very useful. Over here, you can also see that the other cyclic command that I've devised, which I saw in Chuck's presentation, was the FSE, fixed scientific engineering. So I presume on that proposal, you press it more than once and it changes the mode. That's exactly what this one does. I wasn't aware of the FSE notation. If necessary, we can change it to FSE if that's a thing. Robert, if you can make a note. But nevertheless, if you press that thing, it actually just changes the unit to the next one in the line. So you press it a few times, you get to unit, and then you have this display. This particular menu item over here, this is the home menu, one down. I've shown 4 home menus earlier on. This is home, one down, gives you this very nice multiplier display. So those are .k, means it's multiplied by 1,000. So you press that, just multiplies. It's a very, very basic, very useful in the lab, not very complicated to use or write for that matter. Am I okay for time? Am I running over? Time check.
We are 1 hour late today.
Shall I close off rather?
I do not know. I'm not Marvin.
Okay. Who's it?
There are 2 more people needed. 2 more presentations needed.
Yeah. Then I should. There's too many slides to. to do. There's a couple of, let me just run through them to the end because the presentation will be available, so I won't spend time on it. The cyclic functionalities that I've mentioned, I've attempted to indicate how that works. That is a nice slide. I'm not going to go into it. Let's leave that one as well. It's more cyclic, the cyclic modes. And let's leave the experimental things. There's a lot of things that I can discuss. So, what I do want to say about the experimental things is the keyboard layout. So let's just finish off with that. I'll go to an extra slide over here. I have over here some additional templates which I've done. It's basically on the same basis as the previous ones, just with a couple of small changes. You can just look at them. It's so easy to make. So what you can do is with the signing keys, essentially, I have a couple of default sets of assignments. So it's not just assigning one key; it is grouping them together and calling them something. So, for example, I have those two plates that are going along over there, have these modifications on, for example, there. So these modifications are all grouped under the C43 Alt1. There's an Alt A and an Alt B. Alt B is this one. There's a couple of small changes over there. Here I've moved things around to get a trig menu in there. Not that I really need it. I'm very, very happy with a base layout. These were just playing around. People have ideas of what if we do this, what if we do that. So I put them on. If there's any brilliant plans of other layouts that people may want, contact me. I'll put it on as a group of user-defined keys. So that's essentially what it is. You can actually have the original DM42 layout over there. Actually, on the emulator, you can actually stick in the WP43 layout as well, and some other fancy things that we've put in there. I don't want to go into that. So, thank you for the time.